Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey there.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Hey guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Woot, woot.
What did you do on New Year's?
Well, this is
I
the
don't
day
know.
before, or the Thursday before New Year, isn't it?
Oh my God.
What-
I was
how are we?
trying to
How are we
play.
working this?
Oh my God.
Oh, no, let's see. So the
Welcome to
Christmas.
Strange Eons Radio. I'm going to not talk about this at all.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
You know what I am going to talk about, you guys? I'm
Yeah.
going to reveal something here that's illegal. I have been microdosing mushrooms.
Is that illegal here?
Well, it's not legal.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's under
Frowned upon.
well, they've passed something, and so it's going to have to go through the 12 months of all this stuff. Anyhow, I got mushrooms.
Next Thursday, the feds are totally coming in your house.
Yeah. Um,
Coming to his house. Sorry.
a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm doing this, and it makes me feel great, and it gives you a better mood, makes you optimistic, it gives you clarity. You'll be focused on your writing and all this stuff." And I said, "I need some of that." And quite honestly, the girlfriend said, "Hey, optimism? I'd love to see that in you." So I've been trying it for a couple of weeks, and I'm still very angry. I
Sure.
haven't been writing as much as I wanted to, and you're not supposed to trip at all. It's microdosing, right?
Yeah.
But I notice on the days that I take it, because it's every third day, that it always hits me when I'm driving, and it's not like a visual thing or anything. It's just this kind of feeling of, oh, I'm not quite
There.
with it right now.
Uh,
This is the worst time for this to be happening.
yeah.
And I think it's just because all the movement going on as you're driving is triggering something in it. Because if it happened at home, I'd probably think, oh, this is kind of pleasant.
Yeah.
It's not nausea or anything like that. It's just this kind of weird, a little not in control. And I always kind of like that feeling. But I think I'm going to have to give it up because the only thing I'm getting out of it is a uncomfortable anxiety that I'm driving and things look a little strange right now. I get zero optimism, zero
Yeah.
clarity.
Drugs seem to be a weird thing for you. Like you can't do because you get it almost seems like you're allergic to marijuana. There's something
Turns
very
out I'm
wrong there.
allergic to marijuana.
And
Wow.
now of course, maybe you could
It's-
try microdosing some mushrooms at some point. Not while you're driving, not where you're going anywhere.
Well, I am microdosing
But, like,
mushrooms.
on-
Macrodosing.
Oh, macrodose? No,
Yeah,
I've
you-
always been afraid of the vomiting that happens with
Oh.
mushrooms.
I was
So
going to say, you could do like maybe twice your microdose, whatever that is, but on
No.
a Sunday.
I did do twice my microdose because my friend, who shall go unnamed but listens to this podcast, said, "Well, you're such a lush and everything. Maybe your system
Oh,
can't."
no.
He's like, "Just try 2 of them."
Oh,
so,
no.
so I did, and it happened to be on a day that I was home, but I was working from home. I was watching a webinar, and it was the most boring webinar in the world. It's just a slideshow with somebody talking. And at one point, I started looking at it, and I was like, "Oh, they got some movement on this slide. That's cool." And I was like, "Oh, no, they don't. Nope, something is happening."
Oh, no. You
So,
know, Kelly, there are legal things that can help with anxiety and depression too.
yeah, well, look, the thing is, I love drugs. Look, if you hand me something, I will take it and just be like, "Okay, let's see what this does." But I don't want to get into any of the heavy duty drugs because of like can't do Molly anymore. Fentanyl is all over the
Oh,
place,
yeah.
right?
I wasn't really talking about Molly.
Picked the wrong day to
Just talking
quit
about
snorting
legal.
coke.
I was talking about like antidepressants.
Oh, I know. Having been with somebody who was on those things, I don't
Yeah.
want that kind of feeling either.
Oh, okay.
It turned them kind of into a zombie.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Wrong
I
kind.
will say there's a lot of different ones, and generally you have to go through them to find the right one.
Are you speaking from experience?
I am.
Do you have any on you?
No.
Yeah,
But
right.
I
Well,
can
never
bring
mind.
some. No, I'm just saying that, like, I have a lot of weird shit in my head, and also somebody who wants to be creative. I was like, I don't want to take this shit because it will dumb me down, and I
Yeah.
won't feel anything.
And see, you were
Turns
right.
out,
Oh,
my God, oh my God. Turns out if you get the right one, and it took me a while, it does not do that at all. All it does is not make you waste time being anxious
well,
over
that would be
stupid
nice.
shit.
That would
That
be
sounds
nice.
like a good
That is
option.
literally the best. It's like, wow, I'm not being stressed out about the thing that was stupidly stressing me out. That's kind of nice.
By the way, Mom, if you're listening to this, I don't do drugs. This is a character I play on a podcast. Okay? So just relax.
The feds and your mom are coming through that door next Thursday.
Oh my.
Remember when we did several episodes ago a Hammer Films retrospective?
Yeah.
That got me going. I bought a couple of Hammer books
Yeah.
and I've started watching all of these old Hammer films. Like they did some war pictures
Yep.
and stuff like that. I watched something called The Camp at Blood Island,
Oh.
Yeah.
which was really intense. It is a bunch of American and British soldiers during World War II that are in a prisoner camp, a Japanese prisoner camp on this island, and they happen to know that the war has ended, but they also happen to know that if their Japanese captors find out that they're going to be killed,
Oh.
so they have to kind of not let them
Pretend.
find out
Oh,
that the
wow.
war has ended. And it was really intense and really good.
Wow.
And not what I was expecting from a Hammer film.
I've heard of the title, but I haven't seen that one. That sounds really good.
It's crazy, yeah.
Holy shit.
Camp at Blood Island. Now, I know you loaned me a Hammer thing, but do they make like a gigantic one
Yes.
that has all of these movies?
Well, unfortunately, the gigantic one that has all of them, the one I've seen, I don't know if it's available anymore, is Region 2.
Okay.
I've got that one. It's not all of them. It's actually a specific selection.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
But that's
unfortunately.
the largest
That's the
collection I've
largest
seen.
collection. And then the one that you have, that's the American one. Luckily, it doesn't have a lot of crossover.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's really nice. So I've got both of those, but I'm still missing like tons.
Yeah, I've got a couple box sets. The one I loaned you, I think, is 8 movies. And
Yeah.
I've got another one, I think, with 12 or 20. But it's still, I think that's like the low availability horror ones they did.
Mhm.
I've done a couple movies from, but it's not, I don't know how many they did total, but they did a lot.
I'm sure Region 2, they release like smaller box sets of like 3 or 4 movies on this one and that one.
Yeah.
But it's, a pain in the butt.
That book that I bought, that Hammer,
Mhm.
I think it's called The Hammer Files or something like that. It's huge. It's a beautiful coffee table book with all of these really neat inserts of promotional material they had for each film and all that. But literally, it's got to be 300 pages, and every page is just a movie.
Yeah.
It's
That's so
insane
cool.
how many movies they made.
Yeah, super prolific. But that's awesome. I think that's a really good use of time. We should do another one of those maybe. So I watched a movie that Eric has already talked about. I checked out Christmas Bloody Christmas on
Oh.
Shudder.
Sure. Yeah, we've all seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly fun film.
Mhm.
There was a lot of like walking and talking, but like overall, like really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the walking and talking was a little fucking long.
It was
Yeah.
a lot. It was a lot of fucking walking and fucking talking, if you fucking know what I mean. But the snow effect, I was looking at that. That
Yeah.
worked really
Didn't it?
well. It looks great. They, and you don't really care that it's not accumulating on the ground.
Right.
Like it doesn't really, it's not that noticeable. And the Terminator Santa works pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I think the ending maybe could have been a little stronger, but overall, yeah, really fun film.
And don't you wish that shop was in your neighborhood?
Yeah, that's a really, really cool shop. I was a little like, you know what, guys, we don't need to sell VHSs, though. We really don't need to bring that back. I'm sorry, they're not fun. They're clunky and they look like shit. And I got rid of all of mine, so let's not make it cool again.
Take up a lot of space.
They do. I only have very select ones still. I have the original Star Wars.
There you go.
Very nice. Me too.
So outside of horror completely for
Yes.
both of my movies this week.
Whoa.
First one, Baz Luhrmann's, I think his first film, Strictly Ballroom,
Yes.
which I hadn't watched in years.
Uh,
And I remembered really liking, going, I think Nina's going to really like this one.
mm.
And we made the mistake the night before of watching, sorry to anybody who probably loves this film because I know it's beloved, is Mamma Mia.
Oh,
Painfully saccharine. Oh my God.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
And I know it's all Bee Gees, but there are a whole lot of Bee Gees songs I never heard of in that.
ABBA.
ABBA.
ABBA, I mean. And a whole lot
Fuck
of ABBA
you
that
with
I've
putting
never
down
heard
Bee
of.
Gees.
ABBA's fine. It's just
ABBA's got some great stuff. They don't use most of them in that movie. Anyways, so I'm like, let's watch a good romantically leaning film. And yeah, that holds up. That end is just so goddamn cool.
I remember watching that as a kid with my brother, and then like he taught me how to do the square like waltz afterwards,
yeah.
and it was really, really fun. But yeah, I've been wanting to rewatch that. I'm glad to hear it holds up.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I like when you look up at a movie going, man, I just started watching this and you're 40 minutes into the film. It's like, okay, that's some good pacing.
That's awesome.
Let's see. I did watch a bunch of stuff, but we've talked about most of it before. I'm going to talk about a movie called Two Witches. This should be on your Arrow account.
Man, that sounds familiar.
It is kind of a strange film, very creepy. Two stories, both about a witch, hence the title.
There you go.
And it felt a little Italian, felt a little 70s. It's brand new. And at the end, I liked it. It's gory and gross, and there's sacrifice and, I mean, literal human sacrifice.
Good.
And stuff like that. It's very witchy. And it made me realize, boy, the last couple of years, we've gotten a lot of witch stuff.
Yeah.
You're so right.
There's so many I've been watching as I've been doing the end of the year catch up stuff. I think this one's on my list to watch, but I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah. It just seems, we go through these weird cycles of vampires and stuff like that, but witches was not one I expected.
Yeah, it's a lot of them.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah. It's a soft recommend. I think that if you're into those kind of movies, then you'll like it. It's also kind of slow.
Is it like feminist, or is it just like...
Well, I would say that it is in the fact that it's almost completely female led.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think if there are any men in the acting. There are a couple, but they're side characters. It is, both stories are about two women and these two witches that are making their lives kind of miserable.
Oh, interesting.
So it's yeah, I thought it was really effective, but then I heard somebody else talk about it. Oh, our buddy Matt. And he was like texting me after I had recommended it to him, and he was like, does this get good at any point? I was like,
no.
oh, well, okay, not for everyone, clearly.
I hate that. I
Yeah, a
hate
couple
that
of our friends
experience.
make us look very, very tolerable of films.
Just means I like you guys that much better. So I messed up our schedule because I went and visited a friend who was having a 40th birthday, and I apologize for that. But it did mean I got to rewatch Spider-Man: No Way Home, but this time the extended edition with a lot of extra content in it, like a lot of extra content.
Is that the last one with all the Spider-Man?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize there was
They're
an
like
extended.
6 Spider-Man now.
They just kept throwing them in. No, there was an extended one, and they even re-released it in theaters with the extra stuff in there. It's really weird because, first of all, the one that we saw in their first original theater one, tight, good film.
Yeah.
Really good, tight film. This is a loose, nonsense, do not need to see this stuff film.
Shit.
So there's a lot of scenes, like, for example, when the three kids are like at Doctor Strange's place, and he's like, yeah, I'll go down and use my basement, and it's just got like a laundry room in it. That has like 5 different scenes, shots of like weird stuff in the laundry room they keep discovering, and like they have a little mini castle, and Doctor Strange is in this top of the castle looking out at this miniature castle, and there's like weird like little creatures, and it's very Harry Potter-esque. And then of course, every time there's the 3 Spider-Men, all that stuff is way longer. There's all that improv that goes on in there.
Oh,
But
okay.
the craziest thing about it was, in order to put this stuff back in, they had to recut those parts of the movie to make it make
Oh, sure.
sense.
Jeez.
So yeah, so you're watching it and you're like, that's not how this scene went before.
Oh,
And it's so that the stuff they're putting in makes sense now. So it was really just a fascinating editing exercise of like, oh, okay, that's how okay, cool. I wonder how, so you had to recut that to make that sense, make sense for the shorter version. Okay, cool.
Huh,
So
that's neat. Is
yeah.
it considered a director's cut or is it a
I don't
producer's cut kind
know.
of thing?
I think it's more of a producer's cut. It's more of a it's like an audience cut. I
Okay.
think everybody's fine with the stuff not being in there. There's very few moments in there that I'm like, man, I wish that was there. A lot of it is like, I can see why we lost this.
Interesting.
You loved this movie before, and so you'll love more of this movie now.
Yes,
There you go.
100%. That is, if you loved that movie and you want to watch it again, but with fresh eyes, by all means, this is the way to do it. If you didn't like the movie, do not watch this version. You will be not happy sitting there for longer moments of what you already disliked.
Hang on, slow down. I'm writing this down.
Yep.
If I didn't like the movie the first time, I should not watch this
Correct.
longer version of it?
Correct.
Got it.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Valuable.
Glad you understood that subtle text there.
Anyway, I frequently bitch about long movies.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed a giant, long, goddamn movie so much.
Das
But
Boot.
we've talked about it before. Like I said, that's a very good one, too.
It was a good
It was
movie.
a very good one. Probably one of the best dubbed films ever made.
Absolutely.
Bahubali 2, the conclusion.
Okay.
Or a few years ago now, I talked about Bahubali for I don't know what our subject was. May have been like the animated one because I talked about Bahubali's animated version,
Huh.
but I watched the first film. Very similar to RRR
Mhm.
in tone and ridiculousness and over the top and Shakespearean Greek tragedy levels, where the mother decides because her one son has faked that he got attacked that she now must sentence her other son, the hero of the movie, to death.
Oh my God.
And
Whoa.
it's just epic. And
Wow.
it is so much fun. These
Oh,
movies are
cool.
so much fun. Because I've complained several times probably on the show about the whole idea that I want my movies to be real. You know what? I've seen scenes from a marriage
Yes.
and I've seen movies like that that are based on reality. You know what? I live in reality.
Yep.
I want my movies to be fun and interesting. And if they are reality, not totally real.
COVID was a hell of a thing. And I think it really took us all on an emotional journey that led us right here.
That's right. That's why RRR was such a giant hit on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. So huge.
But if you liked RRR at all, definitely check out Bahubali. It is 2 movies, both fantastic. I think it's like 7 hours of films between the 2 of them.
Wow.
And totally worth it.
What are you watching that on?
Netflix.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, well, why don't we take a little break, guys? And then when we come back, we are talking about One Last Job.
For those who remember, for those who will never forget, and for a whole new generation who will experience it for the very first time. The Star Wars Trilogy. Three timeless adventures that changed movie making forever. Now, the entire trilogy, digitally mastered in THX for the ultimate in sound and picture quality. This will be your last chance to own the original version of Star Wars, the George Lucas masterpiece that launched the Star Wars trilogy. The Force is forever, for all generations. The original Star Wars trilogy on video. One last time.
We have returned.
Hi.
I'm awake.
Hi, everybody.
I'm here.
Eric, this was your subgenre
That's
pick.
right.
Can you explain again what this idea was?
Well, this was actually one, I believe, was a suggestion from Jamie from a while ago when he gave us a very kind donation. And I was like, God, is this on our radar? And I think we've now skipped around enough with enough strange things that we can do a one-off sort of thing that is definitely not genre specific. That is a hell of a lot of fun. So it's One Last Job. You've all seen them. They call them the Reluctant Hero. And Joseph Campbell, I believe, is that from Joseph Campbell? Is that another screenwriting thing?
That's from Joseph Campbell, but his idea is everybody is a reluctant hero.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The movie, so the idea is that you've got somebody, a character you really like, and they make him really cool, and he's going to retire, or she's going to retire, and they've got to start something new. But they have to do this one last job.
One last job.
Keep trying to get out, but they keep pulling me back in.
There you go.
Eric, I am putting 10 minutes on the egg timer for you.
Beautiful.
And go.
So I did a film from 2004 called Layer Cake.
Oh. You're not in there because I like you.
I'm not a gangster. I'm a businessman, giving people what they want. Long live the king.
You're a smart boy, but you keep very bad company.
We work to a few golden rules. 3 million done. Keep a very low profile. Never be too greedy.
You know what? People like you can't leave this business because you make too much money for people like me.
But I've always said, quit while you're ahead.
I want my cargo.
Just give me a day.
I am the target. He's lobbing people's heads off. I will be watching you.
You're gonna need one of these.
When I hate guns.
Although that one is really pretty.
That's the look. Don't take this personally. Oh, you give an aspirin an headache, pal. You think you're a gangster? You're shaking. Shut up!
Welcome to the layer cake, son.
Think about that.
Rotten Tomatoes, I'm actually going to say I think this is a little low. Critics had it at 80. Crowd had it at 84.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a damn good film. It was made for about 4 million euro. Worldwide box office was $11.8 million. So,
About even.
Right.
directed by Matthew Vaughn, who's Stardust, director of Stardust, Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class. He's not much of a working director. The 2 Kingman movies, plus the 1 King's Man movie.
Mhm.
Married to Claudia Schiffer since 2002 with 3 kids.
Wow.
Did not know that. Okay.
Writer was J.J. Connolly, who's also wrote the novel it was based on. Daniel Craig. Probably heard of him. He's played James Bond for like 5 movies now, and he's such a video game fan. He's voiced James Bond for all the James Bond video games that have come out in that time period.
Wow.
I just read that he is the longest Bond at 16 years.
Oh,
Whoa.
wow. Not as many movies, but longest time frame.
Right.
That's cool. He's got, and of course, the amazing new film series, maybe, Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens.
That's right.
And 1 episode of Tales from the Crypt, Season 7, Smoke Rings. The character name in the book is XXXX, and in the movie is Mr. X. Another actor in is George Harris. Been in a few things like Raiders of the Lost Ark, a whole bunch of Harry Potter movies. See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and The Dogs of War. Michael Gambon, who was in The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, as featured in episode 183 of Strange John's Radio, and played the second Dumbledore, I believe, in the later Harry Potter movies. He's also in my The Life Aquatic, which is one of my favorite ones from that guy, and a kind of forgotten film that at the time was a lot of fun, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
He's been in 170 friggin' movies. Cole Meany, who's been in 173 episodes of
Star Trek
Deep Space Nine.
Mm.
Ah,
Sorry, I was not paying attention.
That's what I figured out. He's been 173 episodes, but he's had 137 credits. And also Tom Hardy, Bern Gorman, and Sienna Miller. So, hell of a cast. The opening is so damn cool. It's this super stylized introduction to the world he lives in. Mr. X lives in, of where it started when he was like in his 20s, and the way crime was then, and the way crime was as he aged, and the way crime is now. And it's also done with this amazing backdrop of imagery that changes as he's kind of walking through stuff. It's just freaking great. I'm going, I'm going to like this movie. And then he proceeds, as his narration continues, he lays out why he's good at what he does and why he is getting out of what he does, because he's introduced basically as the smart villain, the guy who actually gets stuff done and doesn't postulate, doesn't run around with a bunch of guns and money hanging out his pants and with 14 strippers around him all the time. He is very much a businessman who's in illegal business. And he's getting ready to retire. Yeah, see where it goes? Of course, the boss says he can't. He hasn't even told him he's retiring, but the boss knows, I know you're up to something. You're not leaving me. Nobody leaves me. This has a lot of Guy Ritchie influence, and I found out there's really a major reason for that. Matthew Vaughn, the director and co-producer of Layer Cake, was a producer of Lock, Stock, and Barrel and Snatch.
Oh.
Plus, Guy Ritchie was originally supposed to direct this, but he's directing Revolver.
When you told me this was Matthew Vaughn, I was like, oh, why did I think this was a Guy Ritchie film?
Because it sure looks like one. But for some reason, and I was like, this is a little weird twist in the movie, but okay, the drug leader boss hires him to find another drug guy's daughter who's gone missing, and he wants to do the favor of finding the daughter. The movie's called Layer Cake for a reason, though.
Right.
So there's so much going on in this film. So I'm not going to talk about it a lot, partially because it would take hours to break down what's going on in this film and make it understandable without just watching it. But there's a great job of layering the decisions and the confusion on top of each other. And hold on, is this guy doing that, or was it this guy that did that? Didn't they kill that guy already? Oh, no, he's still alive. And there are some flashback moments that contribute to that, too, where they go, nope, this is what actually happened. You got drug deals going wonky. People are stealing drugs from people. People are turning up dead. Sometimes there's some shooting. There's not a lot of shooting because, well, it's British. And he starts off with his thing, and this is another part of the reluctant hero aspect of, I will do anything, but I'm not going to do that. And whatever that is the thing you have to do as the hero in the movie. And his is, I will do anything, but I will not kill somebody. So, of course, at some point, he has to kill somebody. And that's handled so well. The post-acting Daniel Craig puts into the problems he had with what he did. Amazing. And what's his name? Forget his name. The guy from Deep Space Nine, Cole Meany. Freaking outstanding in this film. Oh, my God. Everybody is great. So he keeps screwing things up and making them sort of harder on themselves, but there's other people who are actually pulling the strings. We have no idea who they are. I love this film. This is fantastic. I will put one tiny caveat. The ending pissed me off in a lot of ways.
Oh, no.
But other than that, I'm not going to say what it was. I'm just
Yeah.
going to say that. But it's such a good film. And it's so cool. And I could also see other people going, that ending was perfect. What are you talking about? Yeah, so.
I have to admit, I don't quite remember the ending.
I'll tell you.
All right.
First draft of the screenplay was 408 pages long.
That's too long.
The book it was based on is 344 pages.
That's so good.
This was the movie that led the producer, Barbara Broccoli, to decide that this is the guy who should play James Bond.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So she's a
cool.
producer on that. She's also involved in, I don't know if she's producing or something else with the Bond films at that time. Said, let's try him. And that was a nice decision.
Hmm.
Because I'd say the first Daniel Craig movie, one of the best Bond films, Casino Royale.
Yeah, I agree.
He eventually, the XXXX that the writer wrote, because he couldn't come up with a name, he wanted to go back. And by the time he got done writing, he's like, you know what, this really fits him being sort of an unknown.
Mm.
And it does. His character the fact that people would have known his name would not fit that character. So I thought that was kind of neat. And we were complaining about the F word from the Santa movie.
Mm-hmm.
In this film, it's used over 210 times. And I'll be goddamned if I recognize it being used much at all.
Wow.
Because it's used as it should be, where it's not like, hey, how you doing? Fuck, this isn't great. Where it's like, hey, how you doing? Fuck, man, this is great. And where people actually talk.
Nice. Excellent.
But let's see. Oh, J.J. Connolly has been told by certain people that his book about being a criminal was so smart that it is used by some criminals who deal drugs to follow his plan of the way things are set up and used.
Oh, wow.
Not the movie, but his book.
Whoa.
You know, probably go into a lot more detail of how he moves his product and gets paid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that one scene they removed, like, he was supposed to come in to get one of the guys in the scene where he had to kill someone. He was supposed to also kill 2 dogs. And the producer said, do not have your hero kill 2 dogs. He will not be able to recover from that. And they will hate him for the rest of the movie. So they cut that out.
Good.
Hey, Roger Ebert liked it. But anyways, mainly Daniel Craig, who I don't know if this was necessarily a star-making role by any means, because he'd been working forever. But it was definitely one of his really, really good roles. Very smart, menacing, and not in a weird, uncomfortable way. You know, he's sort of got that, I have a very special set of skills, and they're buzzing. Nailed it.
Oh, damn. Nice job.
Wow.
You're really making me want to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised how much I liked it. It's very, very good.
Good choice.
Very good choice.
Vanessa, are you ready?
Are you ready? That sounds ominous.
God, this one's going to be really hard for me to fit in. But okay. So the movie I chose, for maybe obvious reasons, is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
State your name for the record.
Jyn Erso.
Forgery of imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
On your own from the age of 15. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
We have a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is and how to destroy it.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
What will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you continue to fight? What will you become?
Have you heard of this one, Kelly?
No, I'm not familiar.
It's a pretty small little indie piece. Okay, I don't normally, well, I'm not supposed to pick really big films that everyone's seen, but I just watched Andor and I was like, I haven't seen this since theaters and I remember hating it and I want to know if that was accurate. So I chose it. Plus, one last job. Hello.
I don't think you understood what that phrase meant.
There is one last job. They all have one last job.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so Rotten Tomatoes has this is a movie from 2016, December. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 84% for critics and 86% from audience. The budget was between 200 and 265 million.
Oh.
The box office was 1.058 billion. But you know how we've talked about like the costs of marketing and how that really takes a factor in? After all the costs included in marketing and reshoots, they actually only made 319.6 million.
God, if
of
only it
profit.
could break even with $300 million profit.
It's I mean, it was a huge, colossal success, which I didn't. I was like, man, that movie sucked. It must have not done well. I was
Wow.
inaccurate about it. Directed by Gareth Edwards, who I thought he did a lot more. So he did some TV stuff. He's got 7 directing credits behind him. Some TV, 1 short, then Monsters, which I saw, by the way, has it's kind of a dumb movie, but that's okay. Followed by Godzilla, and then Rogue One. And that's kind of it. It's really weird. I thought he was doing way more stuff. He started off as a visual effects guy, which is why there's a lot of really good visual effects in all of his films. Written by a lot of people. There's a lot of people who wrote this movie. The main person whose name on it was Chris Weitz, who did Ants, Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, The Golden Compass, the bad one, and Pinocchio, the bad one. He does a lot of producing, including apparently Prospect. I never met this man, I will tell you that. However, there was a writer who came in at the end after pretty much it was done to do a lot of the rewrites to make this film make sense, and his name was Tony Gilroy. He has over 21 credits, including Devil's Advocate, Extreme Measures, Born Identity, and he created and wrote Andor. So he kind of came in to kind of hold the thing together after there was probably like 12 different writers who passed the baton. The idea came from John Knoll, who's an ILM guy who came up with the original concept and pitched it. But he's just the idea man. Starring a lot of people. Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso. Before this, she did a lot of British TV and one of my least favorite movies of all time, Like Crazy. It sucks. I hate your film. Diego Luna plays Cassian Andor. He has 68 credits. He's a star in Mexico. His father is the most acclaimed living set designer in Mexico. His childhood best friend was Gail Garcia Bernal, who played alongside him in a soap opera. They were cast together in You Tu Mama Tambien, which I was like, shit, it's that kid? Fuck, okay, that's incredible. Then his career lifted off after that. Then he did Frida, Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights, The Terminal, Milk, Elysium, The Book of Life, Flatliners remake, and then, of course, 21 episodes of Narcos Mexico and 24 episodes of Andor. He's awesome. I did not know that he was in any of these things. Alan Tudyk is in this. You would know him from Firefly. He is a robot. Mads Mikkelsen from Hannibal and The Hunt and Another Round and Doctor Strange is in this as Jin's dad. He's an Imperial scientist. Donnie Yen is a blind monk. Ben Mendelsohn is a bad Imperial dude. I remember him from The Outsider as the lead. Forrest Whitaker from Species, Ghost Dog, and 131 Other Things is Saw Gerrera, I don't know, and Riz Ahmed, who made a splash in 2010 with his film Four Lions, which is a crazy film that will fuck you up if you watch it. Then went on to do Nightcrawler before doing Rogue One, is a star in this as well. Story. Galen Orson and his family are hiding out as farmers on Lamu. God, it's fucking Star Wars names. Imperial soldiers land and threaten to kill his family if he doesn't come with them to help finish some important work that he's doing. He kind of fucks with them. He's like, no, my family's not here. You just missed them. His wife shows up, so they kill her. His daughter, Jyn, escapes and is saved by Saw Gerrera. 13 years later, Jyn is in jail. She is freed, though, very suddenly, because she's, a girl of the streets, really crazy, headstrong, crazy chick who doesn't give a fuck about anything because she had no parents. She's freed by the Rebel Alliance, who want to use her to get to her father because they want to learn about a certain thing he's been working on. And she also knows Saw Gerrera, so they're like, maybe you could do that too. Cassian Andor and his sassy droid K2SO are teamed up with her to go and do these tasks that they have to do for some reason. They go and see Saw Gerrera, but a defected fighter pilot named Bodhi has a secret message from Galen on how to destroy this thing he built, the Death Star. But of course, right when they get there, and she sees the hologram of her father explaining how to kill it, the Death Star shows up to blow up this planet as a test run, and in a crazy escape, they leave the planet as hunks of it are crushed and floating at them, and they make their way away. And the Rebel Alliance is like, yo, cool, that sucks, and we don't believe you at all about this entire thing, so whatever. And she's like, okay, well, me and some people are going to sneak off and go to the place that has the plans for this situation. We're going to do a whole heist out there, and we are going to retrieve the blueprints so that you guys can blow up the Death Star. There's more stuff that happens. Don't worry about it.
This is why the 10-minute clock is here.
This is seriously. This is such a. You don't need to know. If you like Star Wars, you'll have seen this movie. I'm sure you've seen it anyway. It made $1 billion. You've seen this film. Okay, rewatching it, it is beautiful. There are some fucking beautiful visuals. I love the way that they made the spacecrafts. They have going through like the rings around a planet at one point. Everything is gorgeous. The way that light is shot and bouncing off of things, the structures, the ships. It is so pretty. It is so boring. It suffers from the Star Wars syndrome. There's a lot of world building. There are a lot of costumes and characters and texture. It all seems exciting, but it has no heart. It is too quick to care. It is hard sci-fi. It is a capital S, capital F sci-fi. There is a reason why they really needed a season of TV just to make this particular film. Like, it's too much. The robot also, he's basically Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide. Peter Cushing looks like he's out of a video game cutscene. They don't do a good job. They spend a lot of money. It's not great. I do love, of course, as soon as they get to the planet and it gets really dramatic and it takes off, it's really good at that point. I think once they're basically handing a baton of these blueprints from one person to the next, and there's chaos and people are dying and Donnie Yen is doing cool shit, like that's when it gets so good and it's worth it. But that is so far into the film. By then, you're not sure what they're doing and why they're doing it. Trivia. This film is based on the opening crawl of It is a Period of Civil War, Rebel Spaceships from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Gareth Edwards and his creative team discovered some old film canisters while rummaging around Lucasfilm warehouses, where when he asked what they were, an employee said something from A New Hope. That discovery and looking into it led to discovering material that had red leader and gold leader sequence that they included into this film. So they took that stuff and ran with it. Also, ILM produced the film's visual effects. CGI was digitally altered archival footage inserting Peter Cushing's likeness over the body of actor Guy Henry. Lucasfilm secured permission from the late actor's estate to include him in the film. The team reportedly searched through countless hours of Cushing footage in order to find suitable reference material, and Henry provided the motion capture and voice work. A digital model of Cushing was mapped over Henry's performance like a digital body mask, and Cushing's mannerisms, including his manner of speaking, were studied by the creative team and applied to the digital Tarkin model, and it still sucks. So glad you spent that money. I didn't include the bit about Leia because that's fucking nightmare fuel.
Beautiful moment to stop there.
And I'm out.
Two things.
Okay.
I love this movie.
Oh, I knew I was
This
going
is
to be
my
in
third
trouble.
favorite Star Wars film after Star Wars and Empire. Also, this is not a one last job.
It's a one last job.
One last job.
They all are doing their last job.
Is generally pulling somebody back into their job for one last job.
I
They've
mean, she
gotten
didn't
out
want to
of
go
it.
to see her dad.
Well, that's
She really
reluctant hero.
roped
But
them into this job that was their last job. She tricked a lot of people into helping her go down to the planet that then became their last job.
This is total disrespect for our listeners.
She murders so many people in this movie.
And I'll allow you to disrespect me and Eric. I mean, I'll still call you out on it, but I will not stand for you
Are you
disrespecting
gonna
our
cut this
listeners.
segment? Are we just gonna? Is it just gone from the show? It's just gonna go Eric and then you.
heck no.
I dare you.
And then we'll release her part as bonus
Patreon.
material.
I'm sorry. There were some great options out there, but I was just like, they were all big movies. They were all like The Unforgiven, and I just was like, I can't. If I'm gonna go big, I'm gonna go big.
You went big.
Really?
$1 billion movie.
Yeah.
It'll be a rare one, okay? Probably.
Okay. Putting 10 minutes on the buzzer for myself. The movie I went with, not a big movie at all. Had no problem coming up with a movie that was not big. I literally just looked up One Last Job on
I did
IMDb.
too.
It gave me
Oh.
50 movies.
I didn't look on IMDb. I looked at like 20 lists, and they all had the same fucking 5 movies.
I used it and took advantage of this topic to see a movie I've never seen. This is a Craig movie for sure. It is
Stop
called Nemesis.
boasting.
Alex Rain is a human being. His life is more dangerous with each sunrise. Alex Rain will be destroyed somehow, some way.
He should die for what he's done. Get out!
In a future false world, he stands for truth.
He's a cop, all right.
In a violent world, violence is his life. He knows he must face the human condition alone.
Takes more than flesh and blood to be human, Alex.
I can't feel anything anymore.
Maybe you should take the time to find out what you care about, Alex.
You're not really human anymore, are you?
He knows the answer, but he doesn't know the question. I think he accepted the story. By the time he learns the truth, it'll be too late. He must face an ever-changing enemy in an eternal fight against an indestructible force. I need your help with the cyborgs. The never-ending battle line is drawn. They will never let him go.
How did it happen?
Relax. Help me relax, Marion.
He has what they must have.
Jared's mind and soul, Alex.
In a world where humanity is measured in percentages, only Alex Rain knows the path to redemption, to the cyborg enemy. He is their nemesis.
This is from 1992. I could find no budget information for it. I'm sure it was only about 200 million or so.
Oh, yeah.
It has a box office of 2 million worldwide. Rotten Tomato critics have it at 67%, and the audience has it at 40%. It is directed by the just recently late Albert Pune, who has 55 credits, including Dollman, which I've spoken about on this podcast. Road to Hell, which is the sequel to, is it called Streets of Fire? Is that the one that we like so much?
I think you liked Streets of Fire.
Streets of Fire is great.
Aren't they dancing in it?
The Walter Hill film?
Yeah. This is he did a sequel to it that's awful, just awful. Avoid. He's dead just this year, but he has 2 films that are coming out. One of them is a new cyborg film, and one of them is a new kickboxer film.
Nice.
So
he also directed one of my favorite fantasy films, 80s fantasy films.
Sword and the Sorceress.
That's the one.
Yeah. It was written by Rebecca Charles. Rebecca Charles has 4 credits. This one, Nemesis, Nemesis 2, Nemesis 3, and Nemesis 4.
And Star Trek Nemesis.
Nope. But it does seem like she should have done that. Starring Oliver Gruner, 50 credits, including a movie called Savage, Mercenary, and Cyborg Nemesis. Tim Thomerson, 208 credits, including Dollman, Fade to Black, and very recognizable as the dad in Near Dark. And also Merle Kennedy, who has 26 credits, including May, Bubble Boy, and The Perfect Storm. Have you guys seen this movie?
No.
I don't think I have, no.
I haven't even heard of it.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
So the year is 2027. It's going to sound very familiar, though. The year is 2027, and illegal androids, or cyborgs, have become commonplace, and many criminals are using technology to enhance themselves with cybernetic parts, making them stronger or faster, or just generally more than human. More human than human, you might say. We meet our hero, Alex Rain.
Nice.
Who is an assassin bounty hunter for the LAPD. One might even call him a Blade Runner if one were so inclined, and if this movie had a bigger budget.
Oh.
In the opening scene, he is ambushed by a group of female cyborgs, and they blow him mostly apart, revealing that he is, in fact, also cybernetically enhanced, although he claims he's 86.5% still human. Anyway, after months of rehabilitation and more cybernetic parts, Alex ends up hunting down the lady cyborg that did this to him and kills her, and then he quits the LAPD. I just like saying lady cyborg. I'm sure that in the year 2027, they're probably just called cyborgs, but we're still back here in the past.
That's right.
Many months later, he's just living his life, and he is suddenly grabbed up by his old boss and told that he has one last job to do, which is to stop this android that has stolen some kind of plans for some summit between Japan and the United States.
Plans, you say? Retrieving plans, you say?
You're going to find something else that sounds very familiar here. He's like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. But then they reveal that many months ago, during all of his repair and rehab, they planted a small bomb next to his heart, and they can blow him up anytime they choose, but they have given him a deadline of 3 days. And so, of course, he has to go along with their plans.
Escape from New York, you say?
Yes, I do say Escape from New York, Blade Runner. There's some Terminator stuff coming up. The movie kind of goes off the rails here. It becomes just kind of a future noir where he's tracking down various people or androids and finding out a little bit more about the androids and the humans. And it just gets really, really convoluted and difficult to follow. But if I got it right, it turns out that the humans are actually not humans. They have been replaced by cyborg lookalikes that are plotting the destruction of the human race, while the cyborgs that Alex is trying to stop are actually working for a freedom force that is trying to save the humans.
Oh my God. So the most humans are the cyborgs?
Maybe.
Okay.
I had a really fucking hard time following this movie. In fact, it was mostly me pointing at the screen and going, oh, Blade Runner. Or, okay, Terminator. Anyway, it ends with a pretty great scene where Alex is on a jet plane and he's battling his boss, who turned out to be a complete cyborg.
Sure.
Or, I don't know why they keep calling them cyborg. These are actual androids. There's no org to the cyborg, right? But that's what they're called. Anyhow, he's managed to blast off all of the skin around his boss. So now he's just a skeletal robot.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
A skeletal robot.
I'll just say this, though. It's done with a combination of stop motion and puppetry, and it looks fucking great.
That is fun.
This is clearly what all the budget was spent on. I actually enjoyed this movie for the most part, but it is confusing as hell. I'm still not sure if it was just too smart for me or if the filmmakers were asking way too much of the viewer to make some leaps that we shouldn't really have to do. I've got very little on trivia. In preparation for his role, Oliver Gruner claims that he brought his total body fat down to 4%, which is fucking insane. He goes shirtless in a lot of this, and he is fucking ripped in a very realistic way. He's a kickboxer, so he can't be Arnold sized, right? So he's like Bruce Lee looking, just like every single muscle is defined. Okay. Let's see if you can follow this. The film spawned 4 sequels titled Nemesis 2, Nebula, set 73 years after the events of the first film. Then Nemesis 3, Pray Harder, Prey,
Sure.
which features characters sent back in time to 1998.
Oh, there you go.
The far-flung future.
Little Terminator there.
Little
Nemesis
budget saver.
4, Death Angel. And then Nemesis 5, The New Model, which was released 21 years after the last installment. So let's see if this was 1992 plus 21 years. That was the year 3000, right? Did I do that right?
Sure.
Math.
Yeah, okay.
Come on, Vinegar Syndrome, get on. Get a box set out there of all 5 of these.
I'm sure there's got to be something like this.
At least shout. Come
Craig, our buddy Craig always sends Eric and I a group text whenever I've spoken about one of his movies that he loves. I'm sure that we will get something about
probably.
this. He loved Boggy Creek and sent a really nice long message about this. And I was like, oh boy, I forgot Craig actually believes in Bigfoot. Never mind that we have never found any bones or skulls that would make any kind of sense that these things exist, or just the fact that we can tell what kind of animals live in any kind of area based on the amount of food that they have available to them. But still, it's nice.
Anyway.
Craig is literally the I want to believe guy, and I love that about him. Love you, Craig. I finished my movie. I've got 1 minute left. I'm just going to turn off the timer.
There you go.
I love it more than anything.
Your
Make
new
that
favorite
sound
thing.
as much as possible.
You know what? I'm really happy for this because you would have talked about
Forever.
Rogue One for 4 hours.
Forever. I skipped so much stuff in there.
Well, now people that hadn't heard of it can go out and enjoy more of the film.
Yes. Yes, they can.
I have a problem with the whole Andor name
Yeah.
because it's like rock and/or roll. I want there to be a slash in his name.
I have never once thought about it, but now I will never unthink about this. And
Now you
that's
know.
ruined a lot.
Now you
for
know
me.
why I can't sleep.
I'm getting a
This
better
is
idea.
what goes through my head. It's like Andor. Nobody thought about this but me. This is ridiculous.
It's a Star Wars naming convention. It's all shit. Like, sorry.
It's
sorry.
a typewriter with vowels and about 15 other letters.
Yeah.
Wait a
There
second.
we go.
Hey, you don't have the apostrophe in
I was
there
gonna say
that
there's
I
gotta
need.
be apostrophe in something. Yuan, Kwai Jin.
Okay. Let's see. What are we doing next week, guys?
We'll be looking at our retrospective of the year.
Yeah.
Top 5 films with probably some honorable mentions thrown in and stuff like that.
I imagine there will have to be a little crossover, although I always try to pick something that I know you guys don't have on your list and avoid something that I know you guys do have on your list because I have respect
So
for the
you
listener.
lie.
Yeah.
So you lie to the people.
Well,
and us.
I want to give them the most value out of this show.
I'm just trying to be honest with the people and take things very literally occasionally.
Listener, she's literally shaking her head while she's saying this and throwing middle fingers at me the entire time.
She wasn't, but she might be now.
Thanks, Eric. How about you go back to improv class?
I'm not in the holiday spirits anymore. I will tell you that.
Well, I like it. I've already chosen my 5. I don't know if you guys are that far ahead.
have, yeah.
And I
Hell no,
don't
man.
think you guys are going to have much crossover with me.
3 or 4 left on my list I want to check out. So
That's the other thing is I know that there are films that I just haven't seen that maybe I would love. You know, I won't have seen Knives Out or Glass Onion
It comes
in
out
time.
the 22nd on
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 22nd?
Netflix. Yeah, I believe it's December 22nd.
Oh,
Today's
that's
the
this week.
17th, 18th?
Oh,
18th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. it is.
Based on what Vanessa said, this could very well end up in my top 5. So
We'll see.
we'll see. All right. Well, this is where we thank everybody for liking and sharing posts.
Yes.
dropping donations our way, which
Yeah.
I am just always blown away that people are doing stuff like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's
Also, if you feel
amazing.
like leaving us a message, you can call our Strange Eons Radio hotline.
What is that number again?
The number is, I'm so glad you asked, Vanessa. The number is 253-237-4266.
What's that number again?
It's 253-237-4266.
What's that number?
One more time. It's 253-237-4266. Okay. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope that everybody has an absolute blast, as safe and sane as they can be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get drunk and lay on your couch and it'll be totally safe.
Or just sleep through
what?
it. Just
What, do you
sleep
have some
through
kind
it.
of crystal ball or something? You're looking at my future? That is exactly
about
what I'll be
mine.
doing. Okay, well then we will be back in 7 short days or next year.
Ah.
No?
No, it comes out before. I believe our next one posts just before New Year's.
Fuck.
Like the 30th or something.
Happy almost New Year's.
Edit this out.
Hell no, man. Let's feature this.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in a week, and we are going to be doing our countdown of our favorite films 2022. Bye.
Bye.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
I hate your film.